we just tried to give everybody a little more variety than we had in the past.
So congratulations yet on another volume of Love, Death, Robot.
Thank
you wear so many hats, and at this point, what is it like to balance doing everything plus directing your own episode?
I think at this point we have a lot of seasons behind us, and at this point it's just about trying to find the things that are new and trying to maintain the quality and getting sure that all the directors and studios are having a great time. So it's really interesting just finding that diversity, finding the edginess, but also finding the emotion.
Yes.
The balance is very hard to curate.
I love the third episode, Spider Rose. It just really gets you thinking about what it's like to deal with grief, to deal with depression, survival. What is it like to adapt Bruce Sterling's story into animation?
It's such an honor. His world is so vast.
Yes.
That trying to cram any glimpse of it into 15 minutes is very daunting.
Yes.
But to me, this episode, trying to make sure that the emotion comes across within 15 minutes was really, really, really hard.
Yeah.
And that you would feel this connection between Rose and this pet and what it allows her to feel again. I think that this is like emotion's the hardest thing to do in animation. It really is.
And you did such a great job with it.
Thank
I felt
you.
everything, the anger, everything.
I was cast in the first season in an episode called Good Hunting. I played the young hula jig, and then I was so happy. It got so much acclaim, so much attention, and then I'm so happy to come back for this. And this episode is really, really special.
It took me where I didn't think it was going to go. It was on a roller coaster.
Okay, so I'm an actress and a producer. I read a ton of scripts.
Yes.
And when I read this one, I was like immediately drawn in. But then when we get to that part and you're like, your jaw starts dropping and it just keeps on dropping. And I'm like, oh my God, I get to be a part of this.
I've heard it on Critical Role. I've heard you voice so many characters, right? This is a creature. What are your thoughts and process going into it? Do you approach it very differently? What sounds do you sort of envision when you first read the script versus seeing it, like I guess visually?
It's somewhat similar to playing other parts where it's about you, where you come from and your relationships with the other characters. But when you're playing a creature, for me in the booth, it's actually so much more fun because sometimes I don't even know what's going to come out. And Jennifer Nelson is such an amazing director that she's so minimal in her direction, so calmly delivered. And then when you take it and you just play with it, and she's so easy for you to just trust that she's got you, that you just play. And I don't know what comes out. I didn't know what they were going to keep, but I just kept making, you put yourself in that moment. You see it, sometimes I see where the camera is, like is it going to be a close-up, is it far away? And I connect with the person that I'm acting in the scene with, and you just get kind of carried away. It's wonderful. This kind of work is actually the most freeing. It forces an actor to be so free because you don't have
No
words per se.
Yeah, you can do anything. Sky's literally the limit
Yeah,
for you.
and literally look whatever your voice box comes up with in that emotion and whatever comes out.
Yes.
And I love that. And sometimes I will say I don't know. I love that direction, Jennifer. I don't know what's going to happen. Here goes.
Yeah. Without giving too much away, there's a evolution there for your character. So did you have to kind of step out and say, okay, let's reapproach this when some time has passed?
I think when, as a voiceover actor, we learn so much, especially when you voice video games. You have to learn how to pop yourself in this part of the timeline, and then the other part of the timeline, and then a whole nother time and space. And so I think that just happens kind of organically, naturally.
You took me on an emotional roller
Oh
coaster.
boy, okay.
So talk about, as you're diving into embracing this character, embodying this character with your voice, what is your mental process of sort of dissecting that script?
I think it struck a chord with me because it was about the human connection, and she's in this very dark time in her life and she finds love. It resonated with me because I had just lost my little three-legged cat, just right before the shoot. And I'm holding this little stuffed animal around and imagining it was my little kitty Valentine. So, having to go there it was really raw and new. Made it easier for me to keep into that to hit that vulnerable chord for myself. If that makes sense.
No, it really does. That's so personal. Thank you for sharing that. That's,
That's well, it's not personal anymore because
everybody else, just us on the press line.
Yes.
I spoke with Suma Lee a little earlier, and she plays the creature in your episode. Did you get to record together? Did you see each other?
No, in fact, I haven't met her, and I'm really looking forward to meeting her. I got to meet and work with Fio Chin and Piotr, and they are fabulous.
Yeah.
I saw Fio Chin just earlier.
Voiced two characters in this one.
I believe he did.
Yeah, so it was you interacted. I would say a little bit more. Like for me, it's really stood out when you interacted with Jade Prime because there was that vitriol, right? That anger. So talk about. Do you have to sit there and say, I want to do it this way, really amped up, or I want to do it more toned down?
We tried different things. I don't remember, to be honest. I honestly just don't remember how we did it, but I'm sure we tried it in different ways. But he just gave so much. It made it easy not to think, because there was a lot of terminology and jargon that I wouldn't normally use because it's however many years in the future. But you sort of just let that go because he just gave so much. I cannot wait to see it. My God, I'm anxious.
Tonight, hopefully on the big screen.
I know.
Talk to me a little bit about your episode. What you can give away, what you can tease the audiences.
It's another
so much tease.
Yeah, it's another tiny mini apocalypse, and lots of death. Some robots.
Some robots, yeah.
Love, Death, Robot. Got it.
Definitely robots. Some love.
Some love. Yeah.
Would you consider it a direct follow-up to your previous
Spiritual
work?
sequel.
It's a spiritual sequel. So in the Night of the Many Dead, the world blew up from nuclear war, and now it's back
Right.
to potentially fight another day.
And is there like an overall messaging kind of to like the world, humankind, our environment?
I think it's similar. It's similar to the first one where, there's some good folks fighting the good fight, and there's a lot of stupidity
Right. Yeah.
that is just bringing us all down.
You're not doing one, but two different shorts for this one. Vastly different. One about cats, the other about smart appliances. What can you tell the audience, like to tease them about both of your shorts?
Well, John Scalzi, who wrote both of them, amazing sci-fi author, and Tim's a huge sci-fi fan and has brought amazing writers to this project. So first, they're both written by him, the same one who wrote the Three Robots and alternate histories in previous seasons. So most of the comic relief comes from John's writing. I love his writing. There was something really neat about the for the other large thing, this idea of a cat who is literally tiny and looks up at his humans and thinks of them as really disgusting beings. And like, think of those Instagram photos where from below, like the worst, like quadruple chin kind of version of yourself. That inspired the design and the art, and then Visual Creatures knocked it out of the park, or Agbo Visual Creatures, same company, doing the execution of it in Unreal Engine. Got to actually go to their warehouse downtown, and a 50-foot wall, we did the camera work on a mocap screen. Pretty cool. Smart Appliances was originally going to be like a really easy to execute art house film, almost like an NPR thing where nothing actually is animated, just a photo of a thermostat and a funny voice. But then we realized we could make it funnier by having a little claymation looking character act a little bit. So that one evolved a little bit and changed. That's actually, John Scalzi would use those in his book tour. He would invite the audience up to read the various parts of these appliances. So it had a bit of a tradition of being spoken out loud already, which was pretty cool.
So both of these shorts kind of have to do with like whether a cat or a smart appliance have to do with their owners. Do working on both of these make you feel like you look at both of those in your household a little differently?
Yeah, I mean, I wish I had this many smart appliances in our house.
We don't have any.
We have a few, but no light bulbs and thermostats and stuff. But these are extreme. You do think about our relationship with technology a little bit when you do these things. I would believe that if a cat and a robot could speak, that they might collaborate to try to kill us.
Yep.
So I don't feel like it's that far out of reality, So
They're plotting.
we'll see. But maybe they're already doing it. If it can translate, one language, English to any other language, why not cat also? AI. So who knows?
So congrats on Volume 4. You're not
Thank you.
only overseeing the whole thing, you also directed 2 episodes. What
Yes.
can you tease the audience about going into this volume?
We just tried to give everybody
a little more variety than we had in the past. Like getting Fincher to do a music video, I thought was really cool. I thought it was time to do another live action one. Other than that, I really just keep picking stories that I think are cool and interesting, you know?
You've succeeded in that
Thank
for
you.
sure.
We pick the order that we think works best, but I try and do it from if people stumble on the show, you don't want to give them something that's too hardcore,
Right.
because a lot of people will just turn off. So we want to start with something light and ease them into and then they'll get to the hardcore shit later, you know?
Yeah.
So I try and balance it light, dark, light, dark.
I like that. I get that. Yeah, I need a little
Yeah.
break from the intense stuff.
And I try and, I like all the stories, but I try and make sure people get enough stuff that's the more 4-quadrant or 3-quadrant up front, so they keep watching.
I'd say maybe start with something funny. You know, Kevin Hart's episode.
Yes, that's true, yeah.
Something funny and light, and then maybe get into the deeper side, and then back to something kind of fun.
I mean, okay, I will admit, on season 1, I did start right with my episode. I was like, I want to see. But no, in general, I think a lot of thought gets put into it, and so I would watch it in the order that it was presented.
It depends on how dark you are.
Let's just go for it.
I would say watch 400 Boys first. Yeah, Robert Valley's fantastic, so it's always good to see what he does.
Yeah, I love the 2D animation too. I thought that was
Yes.
really special.
2D animation is always something that I love. There isn't enough of it, so it's good to see it showcased in such
So
a beautiful
classic.
way.
I think it's just kind of a grab bag of amazing animation, amazing artist creations.
Yeah, there's a couple episodes that are follow-ups, and ours is kind of a follow-up, but I don't think I think you could watch either Mini Dead or
Close Encounter.
Close Encounters of the Mini Kind in any order.
I would say they think a lot about the rhythm that they play. So the order that's on the service is probably good to start, just because it's definitely considered. You know, even as we're working on it, you know, you're halfway done. People will discuss that. And there's Flea over there. That's a fun person to spot. He's easy to spot. So yeah, that one's pretty cool. I've seen that one. That's fun. That's Unreal Engine 2, I believe. There's a lot of Unreal in this year. Real time is so good for an artist because you get to like look at it and bounce and see it, react to it,
Yeah.
how the audience will see it. Instead of usually animation, you're doing these like discrete steps that are very separated in time. So it's pretty neat to do that. Thank you,
so
movie
much.
couple.
Thank you so much for your time.